Flight attendants, upon discovering a mile-high club attempt, do you bust the culprits or allow the mischief-makers to try to get away with it? I was flying a short regional route for Delta Connection back when I worked as a flight attendant. We only had Dash 8 planes, which are tiny compared to the jets most people think of when they picture flying. On these flights, I was the only attendant on board, so I handled everything: boarding, safety demonstrations, beverage service, everything. Most of the time, it was just routine. But that one flight, well, it's one that stuck with me. It started like any other. Passengers boarded, stowed their bags, found their seats. I did my usual walk down the aisle, helping a few people buckle in and answering questions about our short flight. About halfway through, I was picking up the trash from the service cart, empty cups, napkins, pretzels, when I noticed movement under one of the blankets we provide on the plane. At first, I thought maybe someone had dropped something or was adjusting their bag. Then it clicked. The movement was deliberate. A quick glance revealed two middle-aged men sitting across from each other, under the same blanket, clearly doing something they shouldn't be doing. I froze for a second. My brain went through a checklist. They weren't being loud. They weren't bothering anyone else. The plane wasn't full, and the flight was short, barely an hour. I made a decision. I didn't say anything. I kept walking down the aisle, pretending I hadn't seen it. It felt surreal, like I had stumbled onto a scene from a movie. And yet, here I was, stuck in a Dash 8 with only two men and a blanket creating their own private world. For the rest of the flight, I kept an eye on them from the corner of my vision, making sure nothing escalated. They were quiet, kept the blanket mostly over themselves, and didn't cause a scene. Everyone else on the plane was oblivious, reading or scrolling through their phones, completely unaware. I went through my routine, offered water and soda to other passengers, collected trash, and did the safety check over the intercom. As the flight neared its end, I realized the real issue wasn't the act itself, it was the blanket. Those blankets are meant to be shared, cleaned, and returned. If they didn't put it back properly, it would go into storage and eventually back out to another passenger. I knew I had to intervene before that happened. When we landed, the men started folding up the blanket, casually, like nothing had occurred. I raised my voice over the hum of the passengers collecting their bags. "Nope, that blanket is yours now, we don't want it." They froze mid-fold, eyes widening, then quickly stuffed the blanket into their carry-ons, trying to act natural as they hustled off the plane. I could see them exchanging a look that said, well, that didn't go as planned. The rest of the passengers were boarding the terminal shuttle and didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, completely oblivious. After they left, I did my usual sweep of the cabin to make sure nothing had been left behind. The seats were empty, the overhead bins closed, and the plane was spotless except for the normal litter from passengers. I couldn't help but chuckle under my breath. For a moment, it had felt like I'd stumbled into some kind of secret club, 1 mile high and completely inappropriate, and I'd been the unwitting chaperone. Later, I told a few colleagues about the incident. They all laughed, but everyone agreed. Never use a blanket that didn't come packaged. Those things are communal. And on a plane that small, there's no such thing as privacy. It became one of those stories that sticks with you. Not for the shock factor necessarily, but for the sheer absurdity of it. Being the only flight attendant on a Dash 8, watching something like that unfold, and then deciding exactly how to handle it, it felt like a test in improvisation. I kept my cool, avoided embarrassment for the passengers, and made sure the blanket didn't go back into rotation. That flight became the unofficial tale I told every new hire when I trained them. It wasn't about morality or judgment. It was about logistics and common sense. Some things, you just handle quietly and efficiently. In this case, a little bit of humor helped smooth it all over, and the plane remained as it should, clean, orderly, and ready for the next flight. And that's the story of the mile-high club attempt on a Dash 8, the only time I had to quietly supervise adult mischief mid-air, while keeping the rest of the passengers blissfully unaware.